Hey everyone, Happy New Year, Darius from Self-Archeology here, and today I want to talk about what I think is a very important topic, which is sadness in healing. And I think it is important because in my personal life and in my work with clients over the years, I have noticed that a lot of people get stuck in a certain emotional state, which is sadness. So when we do self-work, when we start healing, when we start going to therapy or we do self-therapy, we unavoidably encounter some painful experiences because we look inside, we look into our past, we explore ourselves, our emotions, our beliefs, our past experiences, and we encounter some instances of abuse, neglect, abandonment, mistreatment, hurt, pain, and all these things. And to overcome it, we have to connect with it and process it and move forward. So when we do that, we feel sad because this is very painful. So before we go into unhealthy sadness, we have to talk about healthy sadness, because feeling sad when doing self-work, when doing therapy, is not unusual. It's actually necessary and, again, unavoidable. So when we encounter all those painful experiences and memories, we grieve. We may cry, we may feel depressed, we may feel tired, and it may take us a while to overcome it. But connecting with our initial trauma and pain and feeling hurt and expressing it is necessary. We have to integrate our past experiences into our self-image, into our inner world, and eventually we have to understand that now all of that is in the past. We can let it go, we can feel those emotions and connect with them fully and understand what happened to us, how it affected us, and eventually we feel relief. It doesn't bother us anymore. We don't experience any more symptoms of that initial trauma, and then we can move forward. So this is healthy sadness in our process of healing. However, what often happens, I've noticed, is that people start working on themselves. They start doing healing and therapy and self-therapy. And they encounter all this pain, which oftentimes becomes overwhelming because maybe they're not prepared, maybe they don't know what they're doing, maybe they don't have a competent helper like a therapist or a counselor or a life coach, somebody that can help you deal with it. Maybe they don't have that. Maybe they don't have a good support system. Maybe they don't have enough resources like money or time or peace to be with themselves. So because of all this lack of resources that are necessary for healing, people feel too overwhelmed when they encounter all of that. And they maybe don't fully understand what's happening to them, how they feel about it, and what all of this means. And they get disoriented and confused and overwhelmed and shocked and maybe just re-traumatized even. And they get stuck. So they feel, for example, sadness, because we're talking just about sadness in this video. I will talk about other emotional states in the future, but they encounter a painful experience from their past, and then they feel sad because it's natural. So they start crying and they get into a depressive state, which could be normal in a healthy process of healing, but here a person, since they don't know what's going on, gets stuck in there and they can't quite get out of it. And this I usually call a state of a hurt child, because usually a person in that instance feels like a helpless, abandoned, neglected, hurt child. And what happens since in that state a person feels like a helpless child, they feel passive, they feel powerless, they feel as a child, so they can't get out of it because they don't understand it. Nobody's there to help them, to maybe let them know what's going on, maybe remind them that they're okay, that they're safe. They don't have all of that, so they get stuck. And sometimes to the degree where they can't function, they can't get out of bed, or they can't go to work, or they skip school, or they can't make food for themselves, they can't take care of themselves, because if you feel like a child, you are waiting for a caregiver, for a parent, for a parental figure, for an authority figure to come and rescue you, comfort you, take care of you, basically just save you. You become a child in that state. So it's really difficult to get out of it because it's such an intense state for a lot of people that they just can't get out of it and they get stuck. And what initially could be a momentary expression of sadness, maybe a mild depression, becomes a chronic depression where people just can't get out of it. And so to summarize it, one healthy form of sadness is where a person knows what they're doing and they are patient with themselves, they are gentle, empathetic, introspective, they have enough resources to deal with what they are trying to resolve, and eventually they are able to overcome whatever issue they are trying to resolve. And two, the second state that we talked about in this video is what happens more often than not is that people don't quite know what's going on with them when they start doing healing. Unhealthy sadness becomes a big issue and they don't know how to overcome it, and they get stuck in a state of a helpless child. So just be mindful of that. If you notice that you feel overly depressed for a long amount of time, or if you can't function properly, if it's difficult for you to take care of yourself, think about that maybe you are in a state of a helpless child, and maybe you can remind yourself of reality, I guess, of the fact that you are an adult now, that you have some resources, that you can take care of yourself, that you can ask for help if you need to. You are not a helpless, abandoned child. So if you have gone through this yourself, maybe this helps you understand it a little better. And if you know somebody else who experienced something like that or who feels stuck, feel free to send them this video. And I hope this was helpful. Feel free to share it with others, and perhaps check out our Patreon page. If you want to support Self-Archeology, if you want to give back, if you want to see more videos and more articles, that would be really helpful. So stay safe, much love, and see you in the future. Bye.